Hello, City Life family, and welcome to the daily encouragement on Sunday, the 19th of April. It's time to ordain the ordinary, declares Alan Scott in his book, Scattered Servants. He goes on to say, we do so knowing that the next great move of God is not going to be a movement in the church, it's going to be a movement of the church into society. I cannot help but conclude that our teaching series from Alan's book last year was a prophetic preparation for this season. The polarisation of responses to this pandemic is unparalleled. I have found it helpful to reflect on these responses in three groupings, and of course there are overlaps. The first group are enjoying the time, the space, the opportunity to be with their household, to develop new skills or rekindle old passions. Home baking has caused a huge demand for flour and it's almost doubled overnight. Social media is awash with pictures of serene and idyllic homesteads, creations and arts and family life. The sense of community, appreciation of others and opportunity for connection, albeit via Zoom or 2 meters, has without question brought many peoples closer together. Neighbours who have never spoken have had conversations over fences, across corridors and over driveways as we unite against this common enemy. Fences and corridors and driveways which previously had been impassable. For those of us that are Christians, it is undoubtedly an opportunity to deepen our roots with God, or as the psalmist proclaims, to wait on the Lord. This is an opportunity not to be missed, to perhaps establish, as John Mark Comer describes it, a new rule of life, a new rhythm to our prayer, to our spiritual disciplines, to our boundaries and to our routines, one that centres on Christ. One that we've wanted to establish, but there never seemed to be the space or time to do so. The second group are those for which work could not be busier. This is the one I find myself in. Some seem to thrive in such circumstances, rising to new challenges, developing new solutions, and longing to see changes have a positive and sustainable impact. Things will be different after this season. With all that home baking, Miller magazine, not that I subscribe to it, says the flour industry is working round the clock 7 days a week in an effort to double production, and it's still struggling to meet the demand. We know that the intensity of work in the NHS, social services, care homes, councils, delivery services, supermarkets is compounded not only by demand but also by absent colleagues who may be isolating, shielding, or facing a very real battle for life. Many have chosen to live apart from families to protect them as they work long hours to support our needs. This is not a time of rest or reflection for them, it's a time for surviving. The third group, and I wonder to what extent this is the largest of all, are those for which this season is quite simply dreadful. Their loneliness and vulnerability compounded by a government lockdown. Those whose lives are in a perpetual lockdown, be it due to their circumstances, their health, past trauma, or current abuse that they are suffering. Those for whom our schools provided sanctuary, rest, a meal, and the warm smile from an encouraging teacher. Those whose cupboards and purses are empty. Those who are grieving without finding comfort, or for those that are living in a state of anticipated grief, be it because of the fear of losing a loved one, or their job, or their home, or their friends, or their community, or perhaps their very identity. Alan's proclamation, the next great move of God, is a movement of church into society. Some say that this will happen after this season, but I believe it's here now. It has happened, it is happening. The church has moved into society. We have moved into society. A family has come to town, its town. This week in our prayers, let's ask God to reveal those divine appointments, those words of knowledge to put in a letter through someone's door, the person to say hi to as we walk down the street, of course keeping our 2 meters. I firmly believe that if we ask, he will reveal. He is longing to speak to those around us. Whatever group or groups people find themselves in, we know that Jesus knows them and he will find them. Our role, well, it's about the size of a mustard seed. Our ordinary, ordained. Later in Alan's book, paraphrasing the plumber and the great evangelist Smith Wigglesworth, he writes, "Every day is a day of encounter. Every day is designed to be a day of kingdom advancement. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, we pray."